Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Three Men in Football. Right lads?
Hi Simon, Thomas, how are we?
All right, Darren, Simon.
Well, I mean, I think me and you are okay, but I think Thomas may be struggling a little bit.
You okay, Thomas?
You all right there, mate?
I'm a little bit rough. I'm a little bit rough.
What's happened here?
I went out last night. I thought celebrate my niece's birthday, and went round town. And as usual, I was greedy and I drank about 15 pints of lager.
You need to understand that you're really old now. You can't do that no more, mate.
Listen, I really wanted to stay in bed all day today, and I did. I got up to go to Chippy. That's it.
Thomas, did your sponsorship come through with Sol?
No, mate. No.
So
there'll be none of that today.
Yeah, none of that today.
You're on a new sponsorship deal with Pepsi.
Sugar.
Yeah, a little bit rough is the term. A little bit rough.
So for those international listeners, a chippy, just to qualify what a chippy is, it's a takeaway where they sell fish and chips and Chinese meals and stuff like that. What did you go for, Thomas?
Chicken omelette.
Oh, nice.
I like the way you said international viewers. I know we've got one person in Wales. I don't know if that's international enough for us.
They live in Rill.
It's more town actually, Simon. Yeah. I don't want to go into detail.
And we said this in season 1, but I do wonder how people understand this. We've got people like listening in Thailand, France, Czech Republic, Ukraine. I have no idea how they understand us. Well, I mean, certainly Thomas anyway.
What are you on about?
What are you on about?
Loosely translated as, what do you mean?
Yes.
You could drop me anywhere in the world, and I'd get by, no problem.
Yeah.
We just made loud noises and hand waving.
Yeah, a lot of pointing going on for Thomas.
How many languages can you ask for 2 beers in, Thomas?
Every language.
Yeah. It's the important bit, isn't it?
He just shouts 2 a bit louder and points.
Yeah, points at the beer in the fridge.
Just show me belly, and then I go like that.
Whoa, steady.
Nice.
I know, definitely. I'm going on a diet tomorrow. It's definitely happening.
It's always starting Monday, isn't it?
No, but it's definitely happening tomorrow.
All right.
In fact, I'm going to set my alarm. I'm getting up at 7. I'm going for a run before I start work.
Daz, what do you think the odds of that happening are?
I'll be honest with you. I don't think he's going to do that.
No.
I think he's going to hit the snooze button and have another 10 minutes at least.
Do you know what I might do? I might live chat you while I'm running.
I'm in work for 7:20, mate. You're all right.
No chance. All right. Well, listen, it's been a good week. We recorded the first podcast, episode 1 in season 2, earlier in the week or last week, and it was good. Got some good feedback. The first week has been interesting, and what we thought we'd do today is look at the scores over the weekend, talk about some of the talking points like VAR, how the big signings have done in the first couple of weeks, and then we're also going to kick off the Thomas Morris Wall of Hate again. Looking forward to that. We've had requests for it and everything.
It literally could be anyone, couldn't it?
Yeah, it's Darren.
I hate everyone today. But Darren, your dad nearly went on it yesterday after giving me crap at the footy.
I believe so, mate. Yeah,
I warned him anymore, Jeff. You're going on my wall of hate.
So, for those who don't follow South Liverpool football team, we had our second game of the season yesterday, and we actually lost. We got beat 1-0 in a game where we were not at the races at all, which was a little bit disappointing. But we'll be back. Big game next week. Need to get back on the winning trail. See if we can get Darren outside of his own half. Although I think I did sit in for you a couple of times in the game.
Mate, what did your watch tell you? You did like 8.6 kilometres.
8.5.
8.5. Yeah, mine said 200 metres.
Yeah. And that was to the chippy after the game. So let's kick off by talking about the games from yesterday. And there was so many goals yesterday as well. Match of the day was brilliant last night, even though, again, the atmosphere wasn't there and it still feels a little bit weird. There was loads of goals. And the first game was one that's obviously close to home, which was Everton against West Brom. So we obviously know a lot of Everton supporters. Our good mate, the Cookster, supports West Brom. He won't be happy because Everton won 5-2 and looked really good. Calvert-Lewin getting a hat-trick. Rodriguez scored his first goal in the Premier League. Keane scored. And then for West Brom, Pereira scored a decent goal. And Diangana who is the one who moved from West Ham to West Brom, which they were not happy about, scored as well. And Kieran Gibbs got a red card as well. So we can talk about the Kieran Gibbs red card. But generally, how do you think the game went?
I like Everton. I think Everton are doing very well at the moment. They've seem to have a good balance in the team now. I think Calvert-Lewin, 2 of his goals, you would almost do a poacher goals. And Calvert-Lewin last year, Everton were probably creating maybe three chances for him, and he was getting the odd goal. Now they create maybe 8 or 9 chances, and he did well to get that hat-trick yesterday. And I think, again, I think we said on the previous podcast that I think Calvert-Lewin will get 15 to 20 goals this year.
Well, I mean, he started off well, Annie, and I think your comment about where he's getting those goals is really important as well. So apparently Ancelotti has been working on him scoring one-touch goals. So the point is, you want to get into where it hurts and get in that 6-yard box. And all 3 of his goals obviously were from inside the 6-yard box. The one last week was a header from just outside the 6-yard box. So he's doing exactly what he's being coached to do, which is great to see.
He's strong, powerful, isn't he? I like him. He links in well with Richarlison as well, quite well. I think goals is the problem, his amount of goals. And like Darren just said, if he gets up to 15 goals this year, that'll be a big improvement, won't it, on the numbers that he's been posting the last couple of years.
Changes him massively, doesn't it? Because then it makes him a much bigger contributor to the team. I also think the way he played, it was interesting as well, because he played Rodriguez and Richarlison off Calvert-Lewin as the centre forward. And I think what that gave them, in fact, when the game first kicked off, I was watching it thinking, I don't really know how they're playing. I hadn't seen the lineup before the game. And then it took me like 5 minutes to figure it out, because they were all interchanging as well from the midfield. And then it was clear that you had the 3 of them pushing and pressing on the back 4, which I thought worked really well.
I think you've got to give Rodriguez credit as well for coming into this league, the Premier League, and hitting the ground running. We see a lot of the top foreign players coming over here. Some of them struggle for a couple of games. I think we'll move on to Chelsea later on. But I think Rodriguez has come on. He's got a little bit of a free role, I think. I think he's one of them players who you can't just say, "Oh, just stay out wide." I like the way he comes in on his left foot, and he's really. I think Everton have got a really, really class player there if they can keep him fit.
Well, they switched up a lot as well, didn't they? So they didn't stay static. So they changed it around so he could come in onto his left or go down the line on his left. But I also think that he's a good foil for Richarlison as well, because now you've got 2 players that are going to face defenders up and put you under pressure, whereas you now don't need to rely on Calvert-Lewin to do that, which is not where he's at his best. Yeah. And I think, again, that's where Everton was struggling. Now they seem to have a bit more momentum, and I think generally they look great. And West Brom did not look good.
I seen on social media today that Allen was getting a lot of love. Fans were quite happy with his performance. They think he's an actually better player than they thought they were getting. At the bottom, that holding midfield role, which is so important. They were really pleased with his performance. But the funny thing that I seen with regards to Rodriguez was he was being chauffeured home after the game. Yeah. So past the pub, and someone gave him a bottle of
it was Echo Falls.
Echo Falls, yeah. Echo Falls.
Classy wine through the window of his car, I like it. And he took it off them as well, which is hilarious. So then the other thing is Kieran Gibbs' red card. Did you see that?
I haven't seen it.
I mean, he's an experienced player as well, and Rodriguez just ran into him. I was after a ball, but not an innie. Kieran Gibbs turned round, and he's obviously just had the red mist that's dropped, which I can appreciate. And he's just gone over and almost poked him in the face and got sent off. But it was stupid. With VAR, what are you doing? I mean...
the thing is, Tom, you can't do that now with VAR. Years ago, back in the 80s, maybe early 90s as well, you could get away with little slide digs like that. I mean, I couldn't, because I wasn't that type of player. Thomas, however, would. But it is that. And what I didn't like is Slaven Bilic's reaction at half time.
Yeah.
I think that speaks of a man who's quite desperate at the moment. They've not started well. And I wouldn't be surprised if he was the first manager sacked in the next couple of weeks, because I think, I don't know, with the West Brom owners, I think they might just say, right, we've had enough, we need to get someone else in to try and save the season already.
Potentially, yeah. I think he is
definitely
on
as well, wasn't he?
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. He was sent off.
Yeah, he's definitely on a chopping block, I think. Okay, next up was a team I'm loving to watch already. Is Leeds beat Fulham 4-3. Great game. Bamford scored. Costa scored 2. Klitsch scored 1, and then Mitrovic got 2, and Cordova-Reid got 1 for Fulham. But that was a really good game as well, back and forward. And I think what it's telling us about Leeds is that Leeds are going to be great to watch, going to be dead exciting, but defensively they were all over the place because Fulham are not a good side, and they were all over the place.
Yeah, it's Leeds are good going forward. Defensively, not great. But I tell you what, Bamford took his goal very well.
Yeah, he did.
And Bamford's had a lot of stick, I think, from some Leeds fans over the last 2 years, claiming he's not getting enough goals and he's not contributing enough in the goal department. But actually, similar to Firmino at Liverpool, Thomas, he does more than that. And he offers more than that in games. And he links up play well for other players to get involved. Leeds will be that side where if they score 4, or you've got to score 5 against them, because they'll come out and attack all the time.
Well, if they score 4, Daz, you've got to score 5 to beat them.
Well, if you want to beat them for Villa, we'll get 2 and we'll be happy with 2.
Leeds got any money? Because if straight away now they're leaking so many goals, wouldn't that be worth trying to take a punt on signing a centre half? Or what they got there obviously isn't good enough in the first couple of games.
But do you think it's that, or do you think it's tactically they're just not quite there? Because I think part of the challenge is that when you look at the teams in the Premier League, defensively, there's actually a lot of teams that are not great defensively, but there's loads of teams that are really good going forward, attack really quickly. They break in a very different way than they break in the Championship, and there may be a little bit more patience as well. So they're putting defenses under more pressure. I just don't think they've come to terms with the Premier League, and it might just be tactics for now. I don't know. It's hard to say, but that might be the case.
Even in the Championship, though, they weren't. I watched them a couple of times, and they weren't great defensively, but they were very, very good going forward. And in the Premier League, you're playing against better players, and so you're going to you've given 5 or 6 chances away. In the Championship, they might score 1. In the Premier League, they're going to get 3.
Well, let's just hope that they don't solve the problem, because they're great to watch.
Yeah, guaranteed clean sheet against Villa. Liverpool, 11.
Yeah. Okay, next game was Man United getting beat at home to Crystal Palace 3-1. That Donny van der Beek got a consolation goal for United, and then Zaha got 2 and Townsend got 1. I actually thought Crystal Palace did really well in this game. I don't think they're a good side at all, Crystal Palace, but they look great against United, put them on a lot of pressure. They've started the season strong. Zaha was absolutely on fire.
Well, I've seen some of the pundits having a massive go over Maguire, saying he cannot defend anyone that goes at him with pace. He cannot defend. And for the price they paid for him, it's a disgrace that he can't defend one-on-one. Him and Lindelof were poor. They got ripped. And Palace, what a turnaround. They lost 8 on the spin a couple of weeks ago. And then new season starts, they've won the first 2.
Well, think about their midfield, right? They've got McCarthy and MacArthur playing centre mid. Not players that are going to stand out. Not players that you're going to say are great players. You watch them in the game. They work their asses off. They're all over the park. And also, they link up really well. So they play conventional. Like, there's no kind of fancy formation there. But they're generally not far away from each other. So they're going in together. They're chasing and hunting the ball together, which then puts the other team under pressure and it's difficult to get through. And I thought they did great. But I do think that Zaha up against people like Maguire, that's where he's going to get some play, because Maguire turns like a Freightliner.
I said this a while about Maguire. I think in a back 3, so when they play 3 at the back, he's able to play that centre position because he's covered a lot. He gets a lot of coverage there. In the back 4, he gets exposed. He gets exposed because he makes poor decisions, and those decisions are either he gets too close and he's not quick enough to get on the turn, or he doesn't win the ball when he's close. And when he drops off, and you'll talk to someone who drops off a lot, but when he drops off, his position for when he's defending, he's too squared on. So by the time he gets players go past him, he's gone, and he's left another 2 or 3 yards, and the guys are away. Lindelof's not the perfect partner for him at all, because they're too similar. They need to go out and get someone who's either going to go to the ball and be strong with the ball, or someone who's quick and can partner him. So Harry Maguire can do that role as well.
Just a Cy Watson, who's one of our mates and has played with me and you, Daz, for years.
Yeah.
Centre half, going and getting the ball, nicking him in front of the centre forward. He'd suit Maguire because then Maguire wouldn't have to go and do that dirty work, and then Maguire could sweep up behind him.
The only problem with that, I think, Si, is that he works Monday to Friday. Si.
Yeah.
I know he has some weekends. Yeah, he has some. He finishes at 3:30, 4, so I think he could get to some night games.
Or a Fabinho.
Yeah, but it's true though. I think you've got to look at partnerships when you're playing centre half.
Definitely.
You've got to get players who complement each other. So myself and Cy Watson, if you like, worked well together because Cy would go and win everything, and I'd get the ball behind him or up behind him. The problem with Maguire is he's getting exposed because he's either too close to the attacker and they're bypassing him, and there's a massive hole behind him because the two fullbacks aren't great either. And so United want to play the almost United way, but they haven't got the players to play. The defence is shocking, absolutely shocking. And they haven't got a centre mid who's holding to cover them, to block things either. And because all the centre mids want to push on as well. That McTominay tries to do it, but he's not quite there yet.
Yeah, he's not good enough.
Luke Shaw's come out today and said that they know they're missing some quality and they're hoping for new signings to add a bit more quality to the squad. You shouldn't really be saying that, should you, when you're one of the players?
Yeah, it's a bad way to start the season, isn't it?
Yeah, I do think there's an issue between what Solskjaer wants and what United board are getting him.
Definitely.
There's a massive difference.
They've got to figure out whether they're going to invest for him or they're going to wait and invest in the next manager. Either do one or the other. Yeah. Personally, I'd take the chance and invest in Solskjaer because why not?
Yeah.
What else are you going to bring in? And he loves the club. Tactically, he seems okay. He doesn't seem great. He's got a bit of a way to go, but he's early in his career. But either you invest in him, like Chelsea are now with Lampard, or you just don't and you go and get someone else. You go and get a top manager in and do something different. But the funniest thing about that game was Patrice Evra before the game talking about Zaha having an affair with
Simon, alleged
affair. Apparently, it's never been proven because they apologised for it afterwards. But it was an alleged affair with what's his name? David Moyes' daughter.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. And this one, he's said this throwaway comment, not thought anything about it. And then after the game, Kelly Cates then comes out with this real kind of elaborate apology afterwards.
They've never met. They've never met or something.
They've never met, yeah. Absolutely brilliant. You can imagine that conversation, can't you? As soon as the camera goes off them, someone's come in.
Yeah. They've had the lawyer on the phone and then said, can I have a word?
It's like what we do with Thomas when we pause.
Yeah.
That, mate. You can't say it.
But luckily, the editing's so good, no one realises.
Exactly.
What do you mean?
Just on that though, Si, I thought Zaha was excellent in that game.
Yeah, brilliant.
I thought he got the ball and did what he's good at. When he went to United, he didn't do it enough. But I think at Palace, he's the big fish in the small pond, and I think it suits him.
It was a long time ago, though, wasn't it? United, was it like 13, 14? It was. He's years past that now. But
a lot more mature, isn't he?
But is he done now? Is he going to go to a big club? I mean, this is probably his last chance, isn't it?
I think he should stay at Palace personally because I think he's that star that they've always wanted, and no one will get his buyout. His buyout's something like 80, 90 million or something.
Yeah. I thought he might have gone to someone like a Tottenham, but now with Bale going in there, I don't see them going and signing them. It looks like they might go after Ings as well.
Everton.
Yeah, Everton possibly. But then they've made so many signings.
No. Yeah.
All right. So next up was Arsenal versus West Ham, and we give Arsenal some crap towards the end of last year because they were not good at all. But they beat West Ham 2-1 at Arsenal. Lacazette and Nketiah scored, and Antonio got one for West Ham. I thought Arsenal looked okay. It was a workmanlike performance, nothing special. I don't think they're going to trouble the top three, but I think it's a decent performance at the start of the year. Because all you want at this stage is you want to find your feet, but don't lose any games. And they're getting through the game, and they beat poor West Ham side 2-1.
Arteta said the same. He said the result was the main thing. He said our performance wasn't very good, but you know, when you're taking 3 points, you know, you're made up, aren't you? Especially, I thought West Ham were unlucky as well.
Yeah, me too, yeah.
They give a better performance than they did last week, which was good, because I've got them down as going down this year.
they're still not great though, are they? They're just, even when they're playing better than they did last week, it still didn't flow that well. But again, I think Arsenal, we've got to give them a bit of credit. They put them under pressure and they did well to get the 2-1 win.
Just on Arsenal's centre-half, is it Gabriel who signed for them recently?
Yeah.
His position was awful. It'll be interesting what happens to him over the next couple of months, because he's going to start. But actually, his position wasn't great. He got caught out a couple of times. He seems to be this big, strong centre-half. Going back to the United centre-half, he seems to be that big, strong who's going to win the ball, but there's no one with him.
Yeah.
So whether he plays David Luiz with him?
Yeah.
That might be the partnership. Yeah, that might be the partnership you're looking at, because David Luiz is decent on the ball. He's he can pass it. And this Gabriel guy just looked like a big, strong, strapping lad. He's not great at his positions, but I don't know whether that was just because Arsenal's back four weren't great.
I hope they play them two against Liverpool, because Liverpool played them apart.
Gabriel looked to be a yard or two off the pace,
yeah.
and his decision-making position wasn't great.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how that plays out in the next couple of weeks. And then we go to today, obviously, and the first game today was Southampton against Tottenham. And Tottenham won 5-2. Ing got 2, which I was obviously very happy about because he's in my team.
I'm mine.
I think Ings is a quality. We've talked about him a lot on this. He's a quality player. I don't know whether he'll stay at Southampton. He's a superstar there, so maybe he likes that, but I just don't know whether he'll stay. And then Son got 4 goals, all set up by Harry Kane, and then Harry Kane scored as well. And Kane was absolutely useless in the last game. I mean, piss poor. But actually, he played really well in this game and linked up the play really well. And they had Kane coming in and Son running past him. And I think that just worked really well against a relatively poor defensively Southampton.
He's a quality player, Son. I thought his finishes today were brilliant. I fell asleep. I didn't watch any of it. And then I seen the goals after. Literally. But the finishes, Hing's goal was great. What a touch and hit that was for his first goal. And then Son's finishes were really good. Like him as a player. And he would have been one of the ones that, if we were looking to buy a player to give us some cover or play up top for Liverpool, he'd be someone that I'd want us to go for, definitely.
Yeah, I think Son could play in any top team.
Yeah.
I think he's that good. It's interesting, Southampton, I think, again, if they haven't started particularly great, next couple of games going to be interesting because their board's known for getting rid of managers. Ings, I think, could be off in the January transfer window, if not before.
I'd be surprised if he didn't go in the next couple of weeks. Because I just think you get frustrated in that team because, who have you got around you? What quality have you got around you that is going to do anything to really get you up the table? You're not going to work. You're not good enough as a team to win a cup competition. You're certainly not good enough to finish in the top 6. So what are you playing for?
Exactly, but I think as well, Ings has had that season or so under his belt now that he didn't get Liverpool because of injuries. He's played every week. People are starting to notice him more now. And you almost think, is a top 6-8 side going to take a little gamble on him to try and push them a little bit further up? Dare I say Everton might go after him?
They could, but if they can get Calvert-Lewin doing what they want him to do, then maybe he is the answer. But I do think he is the kind of player that you could bring into a team that hovers around the 6, 7, 8 mark, and he'll get you up a place or two because he'll score goals.
Yeah,
and he'll win games for you.
Did Dele Alli play today?
No.
Seen the rumours today that PSG had put a bid in for him.
Really? And if I was Ali, I'd go. Simply because I think he needs a change. I think he's become stale at Tottenham.
Yeah. Well,
but do we know if he played or didn't play? And if he didn't play, was it because he's been left out?
I don't know. It was on the news today saying strong interest from PSG. I think they put a bid in for him.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a decent player, but he's one that drifts in and out of the game. Sometimes he's useless.
Yeah.
So I watched that. I started watching that Tottenham.
Yeah.
Last Simon said was good, and I've watched the first 2 episodes, and it is very good. I'm enjoying it.
It comes across really well, doesn't it?
Yeah. The chairman's come across really well.
He has, yeah. Daniel Levy.
Mourinho in the first 2 episodes. I've only seen the first 2. as comes across quite well, and I agree with him. I agree with a lot of things that he's saying about, you've got to be, I don't want to use the word, but you've got to be really honourable when you cross the line and go and play. And Tottenham he's right, Tottenham are too nice.
Yeah.
I thought, you know what? I like that, and I like the way they identified the cliques and who does what in the team, like in the first day or the first couple of training sessions. I thought it was very good. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, he didn't play and he wasn't on the bench.
Oh, so maybe there is something in it.
Maybe. I mean, it's hard to say, isn't it? What is that?
It's a nice move for them, though, isn't it? Considering Liverpool turned them down for 50 grand, or was it 500 grand?
Surely not 50.
500 grand from MK Dons, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So, wow.
And they had a Scouse manager, and he phoned Liverpool and said sign him.
Yeah, it was called Robbo, sorry.
Yeah.
It's called Robbo.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's I think he's a quality footballer, but in the French league, he'd be a superstar.
Yeah.
Really?
The French league is not good. And they let you play as well, so maybe. I don't know.
It's a different pace, isn't it, Si?
Totally different. Yeah. It's not like watching the, if you're watching Barcelona and Real Madrid and Bayern Munich, PSG are coming up against average teams on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So the next game today was Newcastle-Brighton, and Brighton won 3-0 at Newcastle.
That's a shock for me. That's a shock, that.
Especially for his mate, Steve Bruce.
Yeah.
He's a big fan, isn't he?
I like Steve Bruce. He's got a big fan.
So Mopay scored 2, Connolly scored 1, and then there was also a red card in this as well for Basuma, where I don't know if you've seen it, but the ball dropped, bounced back over his head, and he almost tried to back heel it over the back of his head and hit that left back in the face. What's his name, Thomas?
It is Lewis, isn't it?
Yeah. Hits him in the face and cuts his face open, and he got a yellow card at first, then he went to look to VAR and give him a red card.
I tell you, they're all raving about the right back for Brighton, who was at Chelsea. I think we spoke about him the other day.
Yeah.
Saying how he just looks as though he's loved playing football.
Lamptey, brilliant player. Yeah. He got man of the match, and he got the penalty for the first goal.
He just loves to play, and he's made a great challenge with his left foot coming across the right to stop him getting through. I just when you look at him, you're thinking that's a kid in the school ground that just having fun, just playing, because
just laughing all the time. He just loves the game. But they had I just watched the commentary or the after game conversation, and they had the same conversation that we had on the last podcast about the way he plays, the fact that he has taken a chance going from Chelsea to Brighton. And the fact that some more young players should be doing that, because then you're playing and you're getting in the team. How long do you wait? Yeah. And Carragher was saying his take on it is that you need to be in the first team by the time you're 20. If you're not, you need to go and get in someone else's first team and work your way back up.
And I totally agree with that. And I think it was interesting, Jamie Redknapp was saying how the under-23s is not great.
No,
if an ex-pro saying that, scrap it. Go back to the old reserve league where you're fighting for something. I watched the under-23s Liverpool v Everton a couple of years ago. That wasn't great. I think Everton won the league. But the game was poor. Yeah. And I just think, why? What's it there for then?
Yeah, it doesn't really make any sense. And it's not under-23s either, because you can you have 1 or 2 players that are older?
Yeah. I think so, yeah.
I don't get it.
I think you should be able to buy a lower league side. I think they should be one of the divisions, I don't know, the bottom division in English football. They should let Premiership sides put a team in and say there's no promotion, and they send the players there and they play competitive football to give these kids and these lads that maybe need to come back from fitness or any reason, go down there to play.
Like they do in Spain?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you've got Barcelona B.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's not a bad idea. But that's the way the reserve league used to be. So although it wasn't in the setup, it was seen in the same way. It was competitive, and you were winning something.
What's that called, the old Pontons Reserve League or something, or the Central League? It was something along those lines. And lads would if you got into reserves though back then, your next step up was the first team.
Yeah, I used to love going to the reserve games because you'd see all especially when Liverpool were doing really well and you had 2 quality players in every position. A lot of them were playing in the reserves, so you were watching first team players or players that were on the fringe. It was brilliant.
You know where Sammy Lee used to live at the bottom of our road, didn't he?
Yeah.
On Thingwall. Well, he used to run the reserve side for Liverpool and look after it. And he was struggling for a left back, and he knew the lad across the road wasn't a bad player. So we went and knocked on his door and said, "Will you come and sign for us for 6 weeks? We're struggling for a left back." And they signed him, and he played for the reserves team. I can't remember his second name now. Mark, I think his first name was. Nice lad.
Yeah.
I think he played for 6 weeks for Liverpool reserves.
How good?
That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
Sammy Lee lived across the road, knocked over.
I better send my address in.
Yeah, I mean, how didn't he know where we lived at?
I'm shocked. I'd have gone to left back.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't got a left foot. It's only good for standing on. But all right. So then the other game, which is not long finished, is Chelsea v Liverpool at Chelsea, and Liverpool won 2-0. Mane scored 2 goals in the second half, and Chelsea had a player sent off at the end of the first half. So first thing to address is the sending off at the end of the first half. So here's my take. I don't understand why the referee had to use VAR to decide on that sending off. He was the last man. It was clear. And the only possible question you could have is whether he could reach the ball. But he dragged the man down. Why didn't he start by giving him a red card and then go to VAR? I mean, it seems like a bit of a cop-out. And I think maybe that's kind of what we're getting at the moment. Referees will cop out a little bit.
And I think that's the answer side to your question. I think it is a safety net for them there to say, here's your yellow, but actually it's going to go upstairs or wherever it is. We're going to have a look at it, and it's now a red. It just gives them to make sure the decision is right. And it was the right decision. I just think in that instance there, the other centre-half was too high up the pitch. So it was very flat. So it allowed Mane the space. Great ball, by the way, by Henderson, it has to be said.
Tremendous ball.
And it gave Mane the space. Why are Chelsea giving Liverpool space behind them? Well, the centre-half's too high, and that allows the space to come in. And I just think against Liverpool, that's the issue. Yeah. And also, I think then Liverpool obviously got a goal and great Mane, good header.
Great header. Same thing that we came out to the peripheral vision, come round him, and then knocked it back across the keeper. It was a great header, that, because he had to put power in the header. Yeah,
and it was interesting, the penalty save, because the day before in United, we had the VAR discussion, didn't we?
On the line,
On the line, which if that's the rule, and it was correct. Although they weren't happy that it was correct. But they looked at Alisson's and it was perfect.
But they're going to look at everyone, aren't they? What Alisson did was, Alisson stepped and his foot was over the line both ways.
Yeah.
So he's obviously practicing, because that's what a keeper does. A keeper generally will step and then go.
Yeah.
What he's doing is he's stepping, but making sure he's stepping on the line.
And what will happen is keepers will just take 3 or 4, maybe 6 inches behind the line to start with.
Yeah,
so after stepping on the line and then going.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my take on the sending off on the yellow card side was from where the referee was looking. So it was a clear foul and a decision was going to have to be made anyway. But from where he was looking, he wasn't sure whether Mane was going to get the ball. So then it's not a goal-scoring opportunity because he can't see if he's getting the ball or not. So that's why he didn't make the decision and went with the easy option of giving him a yellow. And then when he's gone and looked at it on the monitor, you can quite clearly see Mane was easily going to get the ball and probably knock it past Kepa. So that's why he didn't make that's why he gave the yellow first.
I get that, but is it not meant to be advantage with the attacker? So then, and I don't know exactly how that applies, but that's generally meant to be the rule. And if that's meant to be the rule, and you can't tell whether he can get the ball or not, then it's a goal scoring opportunity.
And also,
I know it's not that clear.
You've got to be able to see whether he's going to get the ball, because if he's not going to get the ball, it's just a foul. It's not a goal scoring opportunity, and that's the issue.
Yeah, but what that leads to, Tom, at the moment, the VAR are micromanaging the games anyway. But what that leads to, whether he's going to get the ball or not, if you're dragging a player down and you're going towards a goal, whether you're nearly getting the ball or not,
it's just a foul. If he's not getting that ball, it's just a foul. It's not a sending off.
Well, it's not, because if he's not getting the ball, if he's not getting the ball, he wouldn't call a foul.
He would.
If the ball was 20 yards in front of him, and he pulled him down, and he was the last man.
I get what you're saying, but he only becomes a red if it's a goal scoring opportunity. And if he's not going to get that ball and the goalie was going to get to it first, then it would just be a foul and a yellow card. So that's why he's gone down that route first.
But I get it, and that's clearly what's happened, and he's copped out. But my point is that if he's not sure, then he's got to give the advantage to the forward, and if he's given the advantage to the forward, I think that means that he has to give him a red card.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Again, there's ambiguity, and you don't really know. That's part of the problem. I think actually in this case, VAR got it absolutely spot on.
Yeah,
because it was definitely a red card, and he could get the ball. But I do think the reason I wanted to hit on that is because I think that is a trend that we're seeing in with referees, is that they might not make that really difficult decision that they may have made in the past because they know they've got VAR to fall back on.
But if it makes sure that we as spectators and the football players get the right decision, then I'm happy for them to do that.
Spot on.
I thought VAR was great today.
Yeah, worked well.
Even the decision that went against us, for the penalty.
Yeah. Can I ask you to then go back to the handball in the United game?
Yeah, well, hang on. Let's do the scores and then we'll come back to the VAR incidents because I think it is interesting. Anyway, so Mane then scored the second,
yes,
which I thought was brilliant because he gave the ball away and then got pissed off and chased it down and won it and put it in. So if that finished 2-0, they got the penalty, obviously, and the penalty got saved. And now the next game today is Leicester-Burnley, and Leicester are winning 4-2.
Oh, Burnley were winning 1-0.
Leicester are winning 4-2. So Harvey Barnes, Peter's own goal, James Justin and Prate, is it? They've all scored for Leicester, and Chris Wood scored again for Burnley, and Jimmy Dunn. And it's 89th minute. The game's basically over, but it's 4-2.
Wow. Isn't there been a lot of goals over this weekend?
Yeah, but I think you've got to. I think a lot of what happens going forward in a game is based on raw ability and talent, right? So you get individual players making a real difference to a game going forward. But I think tactics and playing together and drilling plays much more of a part in the defensive game. And I don't know whether they've had enough time to do that. I mean, I don't buy into the complaints about, we haven't played enough or we haven't trained enough. But in that case, the tactics may not quite be there yet, and that might be causing this situation. I mean, there was something like, I think on BT Sports over the weekend, they said there was like 21 goals or something.
Yeah, I just think some of the goals are just poor defending or poor play. And these guys have had 2 or 3 weeks off, and then they started again. These are professional athletes, and I think I don't buy into all this. We haven't had the time.
Yeah, the mollycoddle definitely
had 3 weeks off. You had 10 weeks, but before that you had 3 months off. Just get on with a game. These have got fitness gurus who tell them how fit they need to be.
Yeah, but get that. So in the BT Sport references, there was only 3 games on BT Sport, and it was 22 goals in those 3 games. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So something isn't right. But again, as we said about Leeds, long may it continue, because actually we quite like the fact that there's loads of goals going on.
So tomorrow night it's Villa v Sheffield United. If that's not a 0-0, I'll be very disappointed now.
It is, yeah. Villa v Sheffield United and Wolves v Man City, which I think is a good one for City to start with, because I think actually that's a really difficult game for them. They're going to find it difficult.
City last year.
Yeah, did really well. So I think they're both really good games for tomorrow. Okay, let's go back to the VAR decisions, because I think there's some interesting ones. So we had a couple of red cards, which was the Basuma one, which actually, although I think it's maybe a little bit harsh, it's probably right, because he's kicked him in the face and his foot is really high. It's dangerous play. And although it was clear that the lad didn't really mean it, he's kicked him in the face. So what are you going to do? And then you've got the handballs. Because the rule is now different, isn't it? If it hits you from the bottom of your sleeve up, then it's not a handball.
Yeah, I've heard that, yeah.
If it hits you further down, it is an handball.
Yeah, and it's all about in a natural place
or unnatural position.
Yeah, so if your hands are down by your side, it's not handball. But if your hand is anywhere out, even if it deflects off your own body, which it did, they give an handball. That was never a handball, but they've changed the directives. So if it hits your hand in the box now, they're pretty much stonewall penalties now, aren't they?
Yeah.
I just think that's just ludicrous, because
making it his hand.
You're playing, and you might be running back or what have you, and the guy could be 2 yards away from you and whack the ball at your hand. Are we going to see a situation where players are going to be soon aiming for that to get the penalty?
Well, you're going to find it difficult to aim for, aren't you? Because you're kind of a deflection. So how do you know? But I think what's happening that is a negative is players are now going into tackles with their hands behind their backs, which I think just you lose your momentum and everything. Think about when you jump for a header.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of elbows happen or hands in faces and stuff like that, because you use your arms to give yourself some leverage. But it's the same in everything. So players are going in with their hands behind the back and sliding and stuff like that. I just don't think it's natural.
But surely, wouldn't it just be more simpler, if it was the hand or the arm, whatever you want to call it, moving towards the ball rather than the ball hitting the hand?
But I mean, that was meant to be the rule before, wasn't it? It's classed as a deliberate handball.
Yeah, because you know yourself, if you're jumping, like you've said, Simon, if you're slide tackling, your hands, if they're at the side of you, you're not naturally then going for the slide tackle or naturally jump over the ball.
No.
And it just becomes a farce. Defending goes out the window.
Yeah.
Because you're too concerned with the hitting your hands. So, we saw a centre-half go to the byline with his hands behind his back.
Yeah.
That's just not right. And if the ball hits your hand, the ball's hitting your hand. It only should be handball if your hand is played towards the ball. And that would stop a lot.
So last season, Liverpool City, where the ball deflected off Aguero, was it, and hit Trent?
Yeah.
That would be a penalty for City. I wonder if they brought it in because of that.
Because we scored, we went down the other end and scored, didn't we?
Yeah.
Maybe. But that's one of the negatives that's come out of the first couple of weekends. But you got to say, VAR has been an absolute positive in the first 2 weekends, because what it's done is a lot of that ambiguity it's taken away, and actually it's got the majority of the big decisions right.
Yeah, because I think VAR was never the issue. It was the people who run the VAR was the issue. And
yes, he just said for me, Thomas.
I got it in. I knew I'd get it in. I'd get in this one at least.
You're right.
I just think the technology was there. It was great. It was the time it was taken to deal with things that was getting frustrating, and the decisions that were getting made because of it.
Yeah, it was killing the game.
The fact the referee's going over and watching the monitor, it's better.
Yeah.
So whether they get the decision right or wrong, at least it's them that's making the decision. So VAR is saying, go and have a look at this. I think you want to have another look at it. And then they are making the decision, like today with the sending off for Christensen. He's gone yellow, and then they've said, I think you need to go and look at this. And he's looked at it and seen that he was going to get the ball. Red card, off you go. And again, kick in the face as well. It was dangerous play. He didn't know the guy was there, but he still kicked him in the face. He had no choice but to send them off.
Yeah. I think it's definitely picked up this year, and that change in tactic where they're getting the ref to go over to the monitor more often, that's got to be the way forward, hasn't it?
Yeah,
although it does slow the game.
Yeah, I don't know how that's going to work at South Liverpool. Does Billy Birch go over to the side and have a little look at it or something?
Some of the referees we have won't be able to see the monitor.
Yeah, I'll put the readers on. Put the readers on.
All right, so we've talked about a few of the new signings in the goals, because they've picked up this week. But let's talk about some of them that you think have really stood out. Who do you think have stood out, Daz?
New signings wise, that Werner looks handy. He hasn't got his goal yet, but he looks quick. He looks sharp on the ball. I thought United's is it
Donny van der Beek?
Van der Beek, yeah. I thought when he came on, he looked very sharp.
Yeah.
Not sure what position he's going to be playing in, centre mid, forward, centre mid. He looked very sharp. Took his goal very well. I was impressed with him. That's about it really for me at the moment. I've not seen enough of the games.
How about you, Tom?
The three at Everton, they're going to transform Everton having a solid midfield, aren't they? They were crying out for it. I've always liked the core. I thought it was someone that Liverpool had have a look at. He was great for Watford, and I think he'll do a good job at Everton. They needed a holding midfielder, so Alan's going to do a good job. But I can't get past Thiago that Liverpool have signed. I know he's only played in half, but he's just a Rolls Royce of a player. He looks absolutely quality, and he's broke a record already.
Yeah, I've seen that.
The most passes in a half and he passed the ball in one half more than every Chelsea player.
Yeah, 75 times and a half.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to seeing him play the most.
Yeah, he looked good. He settled in well. Obviously, people like Havertz haven't settled in well. I agree. Daz Werner looks like a decent player. Yeah. Really quick off the mark, good on the ball, tricky. Although Fabinho basically had him in his pocket all of the game today, which I think says a lot more about Fabinho than Werner.
Do you know what it is, though, Simon? I would have liked Werner to get on a penalty. As a striker, new into the country, new into the Premier League, get him a goal.
Yeah.
Get him a goal early. And I think that's poor management, actually, because the penalty was a disgrace. That little hop, skip and a jump. I was going to put hopscotch signs out for the fella. But it's ridiculous. And I think it takes your momentum away. Werner should have been on the penalty, get himself a goal, and then he can move on.
I agree. And then we've got, for you, Daz, we've got Traore, like we talked about on the last podcast, has made the move, Lyon to Villa. Martinez, Arsenal to Villa.
I think that's a great signing for Villa. I think
solid signing.
He'll give us stability at the back and goal. He's 28, so you expect him now to finish his career with us possibly, which would be brilliant.
And then Watkins as well.
Ollie scored on his full debut last week. I know it was only against Burton, but he did very well. He's going to be that type of player, similar to Calvin Lewin, where he's going to get those 6-yard box goals, if you like, and I think that's really important.
Definitely. And then you've got Callum Wilson to Bournemouth to Newcastle, which we talked about last week. That's a really good one. Alan, I think, is a great one for Everton.
Yeah. What about Diego Jota? Diogo
Jota.
Yeah.
Go.
I think
that happened quick.
It did. I think we talked about this yesterday, Tom. I don't know enough about him yet, but it appears like a lot of money for a player that is probably not going to play that many games.
Yeah.
They did this with Chamberlain, didn't they? They bought him for a lot of money. And he got injured, and he's never really... I like Chamberlain, but he's never really fulfilled a full season, has he, with Liverpool? He's always been injured part of it. I don't know whether Liverpool... I'm not going to use the word panicked, but almost thought we need to bring someone in. That's a lot of money. He's a 41 million.
Yeah.
For a squad player.
And but they've been looking at him, so I think it's maybe a surprise to all of us, but wasn't to them. He obviously sees something.
He's 23. He can play in. He can cover any of the front three positions.
So can I, Thomas.
Definitely, he looks like he's on his way now, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But, I don't know. He's young, he's centre forward, and the more appealing thing for Liverpool was they were willing to do the deal over the life of his contract.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a massive outlay because they were looking at Sarr, weren't they?
Yeah.
Sarr from Watford, but they wanted all the money up front, whereas Wolves have
like 5 million a year, isn't it, or something?
Thomas, is that similar?
That's the other guy from Thiago.
Thiago, yeah.
5 million a year. But
what have you done?
I think they're doing 10 million a year or
okay.
Like that because he's 40 million.
Whoever's brokered those deals, that's an excellent piece of business. And if he does mortgages, could he give me a shout?
Because guy's a genius. 20 million for Thiago. Michael Edwards, it is.
Yeah.
Does all the deals for Liverpool.
Brilliant it was.
And Sonia, he's going to get a statue, that man. He's done that good a job.
He's done amazing, and
has he been there for a while? I've never heard him.
Yeah, so Michael Edwards is the sporting director, and he does all the deals for the players. He signs all the players, does all the contracts.
Where's he come from?
He's I don't know. I think the Americans brought him in, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, quality. He's a good signing.
Superb.
So a couple of other quick ones. Ben Chilwell is a good one to Chelsea. Still injured. Yeah. But I think he'll do. Yeah, he'll do well for them. We talked about Willian last week, although he didn't do much this week. Højbjerg from Southampton to Tottenham. I think that might be shown in Southampton's performances so far.
Yes.
Because they don't look great at all, other than our mate Danny Ings. And then Thiago Silva, I think, is a good signing as well to shore up Chelsea's back line, especially after today.
Yeah.
Because they didn't look great. I do think Donny van der Beek... Sorry, say again.
So they've got a lot of very good players to come into that Chelsea side. And I think Liverpool were very good today. And I think when we come to play them next time, I think it'll be a lot tougher game.
I agree.
All the signings that they've got, and they'll have time to integrate them in and stuff.
Yeah, I like that Donny van der Beek. I think he's quality. I think he'll do well for them. Again, I don't know where he's going to fit him in, and I actually don't think United are a good side. So how much will he get out of that this season? But he's a quality footballer.
And if I was United, because I know Ollie listens to the show, I would go to a 3-5-2 because I think a 3-5-2 Maguire plays centre and it will protect him as a centre half. You'd have your 5 in midfield and I'd play a little diamond in there with the 3 and you can still have your 2 up front. Ollie, you're welcome.
I love the way you go first name terms with all these managers, Darren, like your mates.
But he's been teaching the 5 fundamentals, mate. What do you want?
I can have up to 6 mates. I've got an application form in there for 3 people. I'm waiting on 2 texts back. I've got 3 already confirmed as of for Monday. I just need 2 others and I think we'll be all right.
One of them's your dad, one of them's your mum, one of them's your Nicola.
I'll give you mum and dad.
I reckon Nicola knows more about football than you. So he keeps telling me that Paul's better.
No, everyone keeps telling you that. No.
All right, so let's get to the part of the show that has been requested more than anything else. We had a bit of an uproar last week when we didn't include this into the first episode, so we have no choice. Even if we didn't like it, Dan, we'd have to get the Thomas Morris Wall of Hate going this week.
Simon, the power of the people have spoken.
What can you do, Daz?
Give them what they want, Simon.
Oh, God.
Right, Thomas, who are you mostly hating this week?
Okay, so this week I'm mostly hating the player who spent most of his career playing with better players for Chelsea. He was part of the original Wimbledon crazy gang who had luck on their side when they beat the mighty Liverpool in the '88 Cup final. This week I'm mostly hating a little midget, Dennis Wise.
He was a little fella, was he? He was an angry little fella.
Oh my God, little sad. He was made captain of Chelsea under Glenn Hoddle. If they were ever polar opposites in terms of football and ability, then there's these two. I'm not denying he won some trophies while at Chelsea. He won 2 FA Cups, a League Cup, UEFA Cup Winners' Cup, and he was one of the club's Player of the Year on 2 occasions, but probably fixed that with the backing of his London gangster mates, because he was definitely the worst player in the team. So he started his career at Southampton as an apprentice, but they got rid of him at 18 as they only wanted footballers that were over 5 foot and not thugs. So when he signed for Chelsea a year later, he brought his minder with him to the club, Mr. Vinnie Jones. I presume that was because he was getting his lunch money taken from him by the other lads. He was sentenced to 3 months in prison in '95 for an assault on a taxi driver, and he was ordered to pay damages, including £169 for the fella's glasses. He should have gone to Specsavers. In 98-99 season, he missed 15 games in all competition due to his disciplinary issues. He was charged with biting the arm of a defender in a European game. The defender was bending down, and that was the highest part of his body he could reach. He is that small, he doesn't have to duck when walking under a table. So when Claudio Ranieri came to Chelsea, he decided to move Dennis Wise onto Leicester City, and that didn't go to plan. He was sent home from a pre-season tour after breaking the nose and jaw of his teammate, Callum Davidson. He was obviously standing on a step at the time to reach him. I'm gobsmacked that he ended up playing for England, and thankfully Terry Venables saw sense and didn't take him to Euro 96. And last but not least, he was given an executive role at Newcastle by his mate, another one of the Cockney Mafia, Mike Ashley. No one knew what he was meant to do at the club, but whatever it was, he failed miserably. So for being an absolute weapon and a midget and a crap footballer, Dennis Wise, you are on my wall of hate.
Well done. Daz, do you want to just do a quick disclaimer?
Yes, obviously a couple of things have come up there, Thomas. You need to put alleged in front of a lot of those things there. Otherwise, we could be getting sued. What's that?
Well, I'm not getting sued. I'm not in charge. It's all Simon's.
Oh, it's fine. No, we're fine. We're fine.
Yeah. What we've got to say is we don't always agree what Thomas says.
Yeah.
And
I'm not sure midget is the correct correct word to use, but we'll get.
However, he was.
You're right.
That was brilliant. That was a good first one back for season 2 because that was genius.
I'm so looking forward to the rest of them.
Yeah.
And don't forget, in this time next year, there'll be a book out. A Wall of Hate book.
He was really angry, wasn't he? So he just used to go around the pitch, kicking people constantly.
Give the ball to Ruth Hullett, and then he'd be fine.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Do you know what? Why I picked him? I was watching a programme and I seen him take his son up the steps to lift the FA Cup, and it wound me up. And I thought, what are you doing, taking a baby up there? Like, stupid idea. So that's why I put him on my wall of hate.
Oh my God! So he's on your wall of hate because he appears to be a decent dad.
He's a family man. You're on it next week, side.
Taking your son up to pick the FA Cup for?
Well, if you were a son, you'd be made up.
Hey, he didn't even support the kid's head. The kid's head was like a...
To be fair, the kid's bigger than him.
Oh, brilliant. I love it.
Brilliant.
So I did see an interview with him when he was doing that job at Newcastle. And I remember coming away from that interview thinking, he has got no idea what he's meant to be doing. He literally didn't even know what his job was. He didn't have a job. He was somewhere in between people who were making decisions.
Yeah. He would get the teas and coffees, I think.
It wasn't him with the fabulous idea of giving Pardew a 7-year deal, was it?
Possibly, yeah.
Oh, yeah, his mate.
And Pardew's still dancing. Yeah. Another one of your favourites. So, Thomas, you had something else to bring up, didn't you, as well?
Oh, yeah. So on Facebook today, one of our friends, Joey, put a post on to say, how shit is Firmino? And, don't come at me with anything on him. He's crap. His goal scoring record's rubbish.
He said if you're going to come after me, you need stats.
Yeah, stats or facts. So I replied, it wound me up. So I put I thought about it for 20 minutes, and in my hungover state, I just tried to form some words. I found it really difficult, as you can probably tell from this podcast. I'm struggling talking, literally. So I wanted to get your thoughts on Firmino and his role. I think the man's magic. And what I said in my response was, Firmino is the Liverpool system. Everything works because of the work that he does. And so his goal scoring record has started to dip a little bit. But what's actually happening is his movement, his link-up play, and everything about his play as a forward is creating more goals and chances for Salah and Mane, because he's just so hard to pick up. I just think he's a fabulous footballer, and I think Liverpool would be lost if they didn't have him in the side, with or without his goals.
Yeah, that's what you think.
So I think the problem you have is when you just look at stats, they can tell you whatever you want to know and whatever you want to find out. But when you look at the game, there's more to it than there's just the stats. So what he does, Firmino, is he allows Mane and he allows Salah to do what they do best, because he links up the play and he makes the runs to create the space. To go out. The big issue is that strikers are always judged on goals. They're always, that's the way it's going to be for the rest of the time. However, Firmino should be judged on how many goals Liverpool score when he's in the team than how many goals he scores when he's not in the team. If you can get that stat, that will back up either yourself or Joey. And I prefer to think, Thomas, on this occasion, you might just be right.
Oh, you won't hear that often, Tom.
You say it every week, Darren.
Yeah, but not only in private, Thomas.
Through gritted teeth. Yeah. So here's my take. I'm a massive fan of Firmino. I think he's done amazing stuff for Liverpool, and I think you're right, Thomas. He has been such a key part in the system that Klopp has built. I don't think we would have done as well as we've done without Firmino in that system, because he makes it work, and he almost makes the whole link between the midfield and the forwards work really well. But I do understand that sometimes you'll watch a game and it will just frustrate you because he's not doing what he normally does. He's not linking up play. He's not getting far enough up the park. And when he drops back in to pick up the ball from the midfield, he's not doing enough with it. So I understand why people get frustrated with him. But what you've got to watch is, to Darren's point, you've got to see the bigger picture. You've got to see the whole game. And him just dropping in to get the ball off the midfield, he's dragging a defender with him. Yeah. And he's getting space for the other two. And that is very deliberate. It's a deliberate ploy from Klopp, because you're pulling defenders out. And also, he doesn't only pull one defender out. He might pull two defenders out because they don't know how to mark him. and they don't know what he's going to do. Or what he'll do is he'll pull the defender out, and he'll also pull the holding midfielder back in. So then all he's doing is creating space either side of him. And even when he's not playing well, he still does that. He also, when he's on his game, I don't think there's a better player in the world in that position. So, you could argue there's much better players in the world. I'm not comparing them to Messi, but it's a very different role. That role that he plays is not a conventional role. It's not a 10 role. It's not a 9 role. It's a really weird position that has been made to fit the formation that Klopp has created for Liverpool, or not created, copied off other people and brought it to Liverpool. But he makes it tick really well. And when he's on his game, we look like we can't be beaten because we're so good going forward.
I think what he allows is that fluency that Liverpool want with their front three. Because if you try that with another person and you take Firmino out, it doesn't become fluent. Yeah. The fluency stops then. And I think that's the issue. The issue is, if you take him out the side, Liverpool don't look as good. And they don't create as many chances.
Our win record is massive when he's not in the side.
And just on Simon's big picture, I love a big picture. And I think sometimes people micromanage or observe games, and they don't look at what else is going on to make sure he's successful, that person's successful.
But I also think that, we talked about, Thomas, you talked about Salah last week and the way people rave about him and people get frustrated with him. And we were talking about how, he gets pissed off when he doesn't get the ball or he doesn't score or something. And some people like it, some people don't. He wasn't happy, or he didn't appear to be happy with that free kick, and then he worked with Trent to take the free kick. That was weird as well. But one of the things that I think works really well for the front three for Liverpool, and I think also helps the midfield out, is Mane and Firmino will run all day, and they'll run all over the pitch.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily see Salah doing the same. Salah generally will be the furthest forward the majority of the time. But Mane will get in and help Rob out all the time. Firmino is getting in and making the fourth midfielder all the time. And I think, again, that's a little bit lost because it's defensive work as opposed to him going and helping us score goals. But I think, as I say, I understand why people get frustrated with him. I don't, because I think even when he's not influencing the game in that way going forward, he's influencing in other ways as well, which he might not be so obvious to see.
Yeah, in Joey's response, he said his record for a number 9 is terrible compared to other sides and the top strikers around the world. But he's not a number 9.
Yeah, exactly.
He wears the number 9 shirt. That's the only number 9, that he's got. He's not a centre forward. If you want a number 9 to play in the role, you'd go and get Timo Werner because he's a number 9.
But also, Thomas, the whole system changes then. He's not going to be an Ian Rush or Robbie Fowler. He's not going to be that Fernando Torres. He's not going to be that player.
We don't play with the number 9. We play with the 3 up top, don't we? And it's a different way of playing.
But I think there's one of the issues with the comment is, we talk about, does he play the conventional number 9 or whatever? Those numbers don't mean anything anymore. It doesn't. It's not the same. Timo Werner is number 11 and played as a centre forward. It doesn't work like that. If you were likening him to anything, he'd be a number 10, but he'd be a number 10 with 2 players in front of him playing up front, which he's not quite. We don't play that way, but it's similar. But he's certainly not a number 9. He's not going and getting on the end of the ball or playing on the shoulder of the centre half. That's not the way it works.
Yeah, it's old money, new money. There you go.
Definitely. But that's why we love football, though, because you can have an opinion on every single player, and as far as you're concerned, your opinion's right.
Yeah, of course it is. And to be honest, he didn't deserve the abuse that he got, because he got a lot of abuse for putting it on.
Could you tell Rachel not to go on Facebook then?
Yeah, I seen it and didn't respond because I thought that the reality is that you can't respond with stats, and he's looking for stats and facts, and you can't really do that. So I just didn't respond, and I did think we'll talk about it at some stage.
Just on that side, Thomas, it'd be nice if anyone wants to put a question to us to discuss.
Definitely.
Any listeners who want to put us a little question about either their team, someone else's team, players, what we think, our opinions. It'd be great to get in touch.
Yeah, we got that a lot last year. We got a lot of feedback. A lot of the topics that we talked about on the podcasts were driven by the feedback that people were giving us on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. So keep it coming. Let us know.
You're going to bring that back, Si?
Yeah, definitely. So I want to give it a couple of weeks. We actually had some good ones this week, but I want to give it a couple of weeks so I can build it up. But we'll probably bring it back in the next one. We'll drip feed them in, get people built up again, get them interested now.
Yeah.
And then we'll hit them with the good stuff.
I like that.
All right, Thomas, final thoughts? I mean, you look still awake, but it's almost like...
To be honest, I feel grey. Honestly, I'm rough. Final thoughts is, don't go to town and drink 15 pints.
That's as good as it gets.
Yeah.
Darren?
Great first weekend. Far too many goals for a defender to comment on, but it's great to see the Premier League's back, up and running, and it's great to see a different team on the top of the league.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Everton are crying it in already, aren't they?
You want the season cancelling now, don't we?
Yeah, null and void the league, yeah. Do you know what? All joking aside, we talked about it last week. It's good to see Everton doing really well, and they look really good as well. So that's excellent. We've got a lot of blue mates. It's good for them. It's good for the city. Yeah. It's good for the rivalry. Maybe the rivalry won't be as bitter as it's been in the last few years if Everton become a decent team as well and start challenging for the top 4 spots. Then it becomes about the game as opposed to all the crap that goes on afterwards. Maybe that's the way it needs to go. All right. So listen, we'll do another one soon. Encourage as many people as you can to visit the website at www.3meninfootball.com. If you want to listen to the podcasts, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, any kind of podcast platform. If it's not on there, let us know. We're also on iHeartRadio now as well, which is great. Visit us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Give us your feedback. Tell us what you think on YouTube as well in the comments section. I'm looking forward to the next one already. I'm deliberately dragging this out, Thomas, because I think you need to go.
Thomas, give you special secret. There you go. He's got to go. I'm out of here.
All right. See you on the next
See
one.
you, boys. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye.